Why has the Department of Health declared war on smoking? Why is the department determined to make it tougher for smokers to buy cigarettes? To what extent are these stringent regulations likely to impact the tobacco industry? And are e-cigarettes a safer alternative to tobacco smoking? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Motsoaledi. The Minister of the Department of Health, Dr. Motsoaledi, says his department wants to move forward with regulations to further reduce tobacco usage in South Africa. According to a study by the World Health Organization released a fortnight ago, smoking costs the global economy more than $1 trillion a year and will kill 1/3 more people by 2030 than it does now. Meanwhile, debates continue on which between vaping and common tobacco smoking is the best option. The Department of Health says e-cigarettes must be treated in the same way that regular tobacco smoking is. It further says there is a belief that e-cigarettes that do not have nicotine are introducing youngsters to smoking. Once they start catching it, the next level is to go to real cigarettes. This stance is coupled with a number of proposed regulations, including plain packaging, abolishing the 25% space for smokers, and banning the display of cigarettes at supermarket kiosks. We are live, and therefore, you can call us, and there you've used the numbers to dial 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guests, Dr. Clive Bates is the Director of Counterfactual Consulting Limited, and Dr. Delon Newman is the President of Health Diplomats. And on the line, we expect to be joined by Dr. Yusuf Salumji, who is the Executive Director of the South African National Council Against Smoking. Gentlemen, let me welcome you to the show. I don't know, let me start with you. This e-cigarette or vapor, how different is it from the normal loose draw?
Well, in some ways, it's very similar. It delivers nicotine, it delivers taste and some sort of experience. It gives you something to do with your hands and your mouth and so on. But in the most critical way, it's totally different. And the reason it's totally different is there is no setting fire to dried tobacco leaf. There's no products of combustion, and therefore all the things that you draw into your lungs when you're smoking, they're just not present. And those are the things that cause the cancer, the heart disease, the respiratory illnesses. It's not the nicotine, it's not completely safe, but it's not the most dangerous thing in smoking. By far the most dangerous thing is the tar, the smoke, the hot gases, and that's what does all the damage. You take those out of the equation and you have a much less risky product. Royal College of Physicians in London says unlikely to exceed 5% of the risk of smoking. This is e-cigarettes. So that's Britain's top doctors, unlikely to exceed 5% of the risk of smoking cigarettes, and probably substantially lower. So 95% less risky at least.
Well, those are London doctors. Let me quote you Harvard professors then. They say diacetyl and other chemicals in vaping devices destroy the lungs' tiniest airways, leading to scar tissue buildup that blocks airflow. They can result in a permanent, sometimes fatal, lung condition known as bronchiolitis obliterans, right? Best known for its links to injuries and other things.
So this is a really good example of the science stories that we see on e-cigarettes, okay? Here's the sort of facts on that. It's true, some e-cigarettes contain diacetyl. It creates a buttery, popcorny type flavor. So it has been used. The evidence that this is harmful comes from a popcorn factory where people were exposed to enormous doses of this chemical diacetyl. So yes, it is present. It is in some e-cigarettes, but at tiny levels. It's also present in cigarettes. And if you do the numbers, if you do the science, you'll find that it's present in e-cigarettes at maybe 700 times lower level than in cigarettes. And that condition, the one that you refer to from as popcorn lung,
Yes.
that condition's not been found in smokers. So with all of these things, it's a question of getting proportion. It's not that there's the presence of something dangerous, but how much of it is.
Okay.
The risk is a function of the exposure, not the fact that something's present.
Do you recognize that smoking kills?
Absolutely. And 100% as a South African physician, I've worked for 35 years to make sure that the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control is fully implemented. And I hope that in our generation we will have a smokeless society.
Government is saying this vapor smoking should also be classified as smoking, because it is, which means the rules that govern smoking in general would also have to govern vaping. Would you support that?
I would see that as disproportionate, and that it would take away the potential public health opportunity away from those people who smoke and who find it extremely difficult to stop smoking. Do you know that 70% of smokers would like to stop smoking? 40% of them try to stop smoking, but less than 2% of them actually succeed. E-cigarettes and e-cigarettes with proper product standards offer a way out. They provide the smoker with a similar experience, but not with the products of combustion. So it's a lifesaver in many ways and for many smokers.
But what is this thing about smoking? Well, you forgive me. I mean, I'm only 43 years old, or 43 years young. I've never smoked. I've never drank. Right? I don't know what is it which people. I mean, these people are yearning for. Why do they? Is there this desire and need? Maybe let me ask the need. Why do people need to smoke? Do they really have to smoke?
Well, that's a good question, and bear in mind, about 5% of the global population has a predisposition to any form of addiction. It could be drugs, it could be tobacco, it could be watching television, it could be food. So the 1.3 billion people on earth who smoke cigarettes have the addiction with a product that really works extremely well.
Yeah.
It provides them with the addictive elements within seconds, and therefore they get hooked. And that's why you have so many people who smoke and so many who desperately want to stop but can't.
And how much are companies losing because of smokers? Because I'll give you an example, and I hope I won't be in trouble with my colleagues here, and I risk having our show not going online, but I'm going to refer to this because I see my colleagues all the time whenever I walk out. I mean, they are outside smoking. How much is South African labor losing to smokers?
Well, the figures that you quoted at the beginning of the show are very fresh figures developed by the CDC in the US and the World Health Organization. And the $1 trillion per year that they claim is lost factors in the absenteeism, the loss of productivity, the health-related costs. So it is a huge burden on the global economy, as you would see here where you work, where some of your colleagues might not be working when you are.
Yes.
It's just important not to be too judgmental. As a physician, it's really important not to be too judgmental on what patients choose to do or consumers choose to do, but offer them choices so that eventually they would have healthier choices with less death and disease linked to it.
I would say that you're not offering a choice because you still want them to be addicted to this vapor thing.
Well, I don't, and no one in the health world wants them to be addicted to anything. The point is, you've already got 1.3 billion people smoking. You've got more people taking it up all the time, whether we like that or not. So you have to deal with the facts and the world as it is. That smoking's very widespread, and it's on the increase in some parts of Africa. So what we've got to do is offer alternatives that work, and one of those alternatives is to quit completely. Another is to switch to a product that does far, far less harm. The thing that we're concerned about, not necessarily the nicotine and the addiction, but the cancer, the heart disease, the respiratory illness, the stroke, all the unpleasant side effects that go with using nicotine in the form of cigarette smoking.
It's more expensive than cigarettes.
Well, I think it's about the same here. In some jurisdictions, depends on the tax arrangements. You know, and one of the things that I think we all agree, is you need to go in hard on cigarette smoking. There's no doubt about that. I've campaigned, Delana's campaigned against cigarette smoking for years and years and years. And a lot of what the Department of Health is doing is absolutely right. But if you go in too hard on the alternatives to smoking, you end up with more smoking, more cigarettes sold, protecting the cigarette trade and helping the tobacco industry, and that's not a good idea.
Ramabi, you are in Gauteng. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you, Mpo?
I'm well, thanks for the call.
Okay, Mpo. Mpo, I want to ask those people and the government.
Yes.
If South Africans tomorrow they can wake up, they are not smoking, all of them. What is going to happen to the people who work at the companies? Will they organize them jobs? What will they do? Will they feed their families? They must just tell us what they are going to do. Maybe there are 2, 3, 4 million people who are smoking. If the people stop smoking, what about the people who work at the companies? What are they going to do with those people?
Okay, so I'll get them to
jobs for them, because they can't even create jobs for the kids now who are at school.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Ramabi, thanks for the call. Well, I don't think you will be able to answer that, but yeah, let me give it to you.
Well, when no one wants a product, businesses go out of business and the labour force disperses and does something else. I mean, that happens in every single field of life.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if people did stop smoking overnight, it would be great for the economy for the reasons that we've said. The problem is not that they're going to stop overnight, it's just that they're not going to stop overnight, and that business is going to continue in some form for a long time. And if the business can migrate from products that are very harmful indeed, and no one disputes that now, not even the companies, if they can migrate from very harmful products to much less harmful products, that's a bonus for society.
Okay, hold it there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, please do give us a call. Are you a smoker? Do you perhaps use this thing, the vapor thing, or you're just an anti-smoking person, you know? Please do give us a call, 089-110-4210. Let's hear your thoughts or your questions at Question Time 24. It's our Twitter handle. We shall return shortly.
The only way to pour the perfect beer, this professional barman would tell you, is into a glass tilted at exactly 45 degrees. Oh, bless you. Bless you, sir. Bless you again. Well, we'd say the perfect way to pour a beer is at this angle, straight into your mouth. Tops its bar. Good beer, good advice, no Ponzi beer stuff.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. You can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210. My guest is Clive Bates. He's the director of Counterfactual Consulting Limited, and Dr. Delon Human is the president of Health Diplomats. And Philip, is it Philip or Felix in Nelspruit? Felix?
Yeah, it's Felix. It's Felix in Nelspruit.
Oh, Felix, yes, welcome.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Actually, I'm a medical doctor, and I see patients every day who are struggling with the addiction of smoking. And please, you must not condemn these people. There's a certain feeling, there's a certain enjoyment they have from this. And you can never take this away from them just like that. What is the purpose of life if you are not going to enjoy it? So the real thing is for us to be able to give them an alternative that will spare their lives, that will make them less sick. Because it is just impossible for them to just stop like that. And we have to understand and appreciate that. Our focus should be on the younger ones, on our children, to let them have the choice of choosing a better life.
Okay. Felix, thank you very much. Felix says he's a medical doctor and he sees people, says we shouldn't judge. Maybe I'm not the best person to talk about this particular subject, but I mean, I think smokers have a lot of rights. I mean, they have special corners in the workplace where they are supposed to go and smoke. They have all these times that they can just go and smoke. I mean, we don't have rooms where we go and drink our tea and coffee.
I mean, I don't think you should ever judge people. I mean, people are what they are. They're citizens. They deserve, everybody deserves some respect, whether they smoke or not. In terms of rights, I think your rights stop when your activities harm somebody else, and we've got to be clear about that. That your effects on other people can be harmful as a smoker. So I don't think you've got complete rights to smoke wherever you want and do whatever you like.
No, they do. They smoke in public.
I think we should always be focused on whether smoking is causing harm to somebody else. In terms of what employers do, it's up to the employer to make a judgment. I mean, they're trying to keep valuable employees. They're trying to keep them happy. They're trying to keep them at work. They're trying to get them to concentrate. They should decide how much accommodation to make, whether there's smoking breaks or what their policy is on that. And they should do that in the interests of the business, taking account of the fact that they value the employees. But that, I don't think, means that everybody should be able to smoke everywhere and do whatever they like. No, far from it.
But well, go ahead.
I would agree with Felix that we should concentrate on making sure that children, people younger than 18 years old, are not enticed in any way through marketing or other techniques into either smoking or vaping. They should be left alone and be given the right health information to make good choices and lead healthy lives.
No, but this must also include adults. I mean, the packaging is something else. I mean, you look at these things that they used to smoke. I almost bought one. I thought it was a pen.
What I do think is very important is the right of every consumer and patient to information. And for smokers especially, they need to know that in comparison with ongoing smoking of cigarettes, is vaping safer, yes or no? Obviously, all of us from a medical point of view would want people to quit smoking, but in comparison with smoking of cigarettes, we know that vaping is immensely less harmful, at least 95% less harmful. And patients and consumers have the right to know that.
I mean, I'm looking at the picture. I'll just ask our director to bring back that picture on the pictures that they had, the slides that they had. Tell me that what this person is doing is not harmful.
No one says it's completely safe. We're just saying it's a lot less dangerous than smoking. And the reason is that cloud is a cloud of droplets of a basically inert chemical containing nicotine and a bit of flavoring and not much else. The same thing, if it was smoke, would be full of the products of combustion of burning dried tobacco leaf. So chemically and physically, even if it looks similar, it's totally different. And that's what makes the difference to the body. You haven't got all these noxious chemicals that are created when you burn tobacco leaf. It's an inert chemical carrying nicotine and some flavorings, and that's it.
But you have a point. I think that vapers should use their discretion and not do what they call cloud chasing, and especially in public places, use vaping clouds to disturb others.
Let's take Keith. Keith, you are in Gauteng. Welcome.
Wow. Hi, I'm Paul. Love your program.
Thank you so much, Keith. Switch the volume of your TV off, and then.
I've been smoking. Okay, they are muted it.
Good.
Okay, I've been smoking since I was 16 years old.
How old are you now?
51.
Okay.
Is it too late for me to stop? Has the damage been done?
How much do you smoke? How many cigarettes do you smoke a day?
20 odd cigarettes, 25.
Do you increase the number on the basis of your social emotions? Well, I mean, not social emotions, your emotions at a particular time, or what? You just smoke?
Stuck in traffic, stressful times, high blood pressure. Yeah.
Okay, Keith, let's get the doctor to respond.
Keith, there is hope for you even at the age of 51. There's good medical evidence to suggest that if smokers quit smoking by age 40 and even later by 51, that there can be a almost 90% reversal of some of the harm done to the lungs and the heart. So Richard Dahl published an article in which there was an explanation of how much better smokers would do if they were to quit even at that late age. That's one of the gripes that we have, is that is not really communicated well to smokers, and they don't have the choice. Keith says another important point, why people smoke. Life is difficult. It's stressful. That's why Keith is strong. We can't be all as happy as you are, Mpu. But life is stressful. So I would suggest to Keith, do an experiment on yourself for the next 3 weeks. Try and substitute your smoking with a vaping product, a recognized vaping product in South Africa. See how you feel. See how much better you breathe, taste, smell, and whether you have more oxygen in your lungs. And then you make your own choice.
You see, I mean, I take a 13-hour flight, right? Non-stop. And you are with people who smoke, right? And they don't smoke. You get to the airport, wherever it may be, they look for the first available space where they can smoke, right? But the fact that they were able to contain themselves for 13 hours without smoking, and they cannot work 8 hours here at the SABC, they need some breaks to go and smoke, then it says to me, this is, it's an act.
But sitting on a plane is easier than being a high-powered television executive and doing production and everything. People do need it. They it's, of course, people can go without it. You can go without water for a day if you want to. The question is, how do they feel when they're doing that, and how do they function? And let's be honest, it is an addiction. No one disputes that either. Nicotine is an addictive recreational drug that is used by 1.3 billion people in the world. The question is, what do you do about that? And one of the things you can do about it is to reduce the amount of cancer, heart disease and lung illnesses that go along with using nicotine by smoking. And one way of doing that is to switch to vaping products. You could also quit smoking, but a lot of people find that pretty hard. And we would always say, if you can quit completely, sure, do it. If you can't, if you're Keith, I'll guess, you'll have a bit of a struggle, to be honest, just giving up a 20-a-day habit that he's had since the age of 16, just like that. But if he could get to something that is a bit like smoking, but is 95% less dangerous, game on. He could get a huge benefit in his health.
So we agree, you're dealing with psychological patients here.
Well, we're dealing with an addictive recreational drug, whatever you mean by addictive, and people mean different things by it.
Now, is this vaping safe? Can people do that, amongst children?
Well, first of all, if it's 95%, less dangerous to be a user, then it's a lot less dangerous to be a bystander. Okay. You know, the vapor that's coming out is just physically and chemically much less hazardous. Okay. Whether you want to do it in front of a kid, that's a different matter. That might be about a role modeling concern or everything. So we still advise people to be discreet about it. It's an adult thing done in adult places.
So, in short, you're trying to take Zimbabwe out of business.
And Malawi.
And Malawi.
Well, I live in Zimbabwe actually most of the time, and I don't think the tobacco business is going away that quickly. There's a huge number of smokers in China that are buying all of Zimbabwe's crop at the moment. Question is, what can we do to reduce the damage associated with that?
Gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. And that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the crew, I have a hot.
Assumed US drones